All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for some real people out there just like you and just like me. So Uncle Ted Nugent mouthing off again. Good for him. I love to hear Uncle Ted opine on just about any topic. Let's just be honest. And yes, he was on my show. So of course, I'm a bigger fan of Ted Nugent than ever. Look, he's opinionated. He knows what he believes, and he believes that Howard Stern is a jackass. That's that's the latest headline. So this article really defends Joe Rogan and doesn't actually spend that much time on Stern, basically saying that, look, Stern used to be this guy that did radio. Then he kind of started doing some other things. He was never really about truth seeking. Whereas Rogan is curious. That's one thing I've heard like Tucker Carlson say about Joe Rogan. And this has been my big complaint for the last 2 years. Why is it that the media isn't curious? When someone says, hey, I think that this election had issues, someone says that. They go and say, well, that's a baseless claim. And my response is, oh, so you did the research and you investigated to find out that that claim was false, right? No, it's just baseless. Okay, well, tell me again why it's baseless. Well, the courts wouldn't hear the case. Courts said it didn't have standing, and I say, okay, well, but did the court debunk the claim, or did they just refuse to hear the case? You see, right now in America, critical thinking is dying a quick, not a slow, but a quick and painful death. And guys like Nugent come along and say, hey, wait a minute, this guy Rogan, he speaks the truth. This guy Stern over here seems to have an agenda, right? It's almost as if, hey, Howard, can you just continue to toe the line on this? And the more he's like Justin Trudeau, the more he talks, the bigger the hole he digs for himself. You know, even Bill Maher said the other day that Trudeau is starting to sound like some German dictator. I don't know if you mention his name. I don't know if you get censored or banned, but you know who we're talking about, right? That's Bill Maher, folks. Bill Maher. And people are like, okay, so Bill Maher now, Bill Maher is a right winger. It's so funny to just watch as these people contort. See, the truth isn't ideological. The truth isn't. It's weird because what some people on one side of this issue have effectively done is made truth, freedom, and common sense. I think those are the three pillars of the Nugent doctrine, right? They've made those three constructs into bigoted, racism, whatever else you can think of. You know, all of these, Trudeau gave this long list of what the Canadian truckers are really all about. It's funny, they're feeding homeless people on the streets of Ottawa, okay? They're cleaning up the streets, they're shoveling snow, but they're the bad guys. Somehow, and this is what we're told to believe, even though with our own eyes, we're seeing something completely different. And the people over at Rolling Stone think this is a shiny new theory. I'm gonna keep repeating that, because that article was better than the casual chemistry article that I read about Neil Finn and Stevie Nicks. So they had casual chem. What the hell is that, right? What shiny new theory? Psychology in general? Sigmund Freud is a shiny new theory? Get over yourselves. Start to tell the truth so people can actually have informed consent. What Nugent is doing here in his flamboyant and very entertaining style is tell people, look, you can go listen to Stern. Stern is going to spout the company line, and he's going to smear, because that's the correct word, he's going to smear other people who don't follow him over that cliff. And Rogan wants to listen to people. He wants to say, you know what, I don't know if I agree with your opinion, but I'm willing to listen to it. And by the way, Rogan has admitted he's left of center, but he'll have Ted Nugent on his show and they'll talk it out. At the end of the show, Rogan may still say, oh, Ted's crazy. He's a tinfoil hat guy, but I respect what he had to say. And it's good that we have his opinion over here. And then we've got Sanjay Gupta over here, right? Remember Sanjay Gupta? When Rogan said, hey, why did you guys call this horse paste, right? Why did you do this over and over again when it's an approved thing? And, you know, it's okay, but it's not approved for the, you know, and then they just start, you can't repurpose medicine. No, you just find out all these new concepts, like a natural inclination to fight parasites within your own body does not exist anymore. That you can't rely on it. You got to have the CVS protocol, not once, but 5 times yearly. And oh, they're going to start putting the same stuff in the flu medication. And people are like, are you serious? Are they really just trying to get rid of every person on the planet? I don't know. Ask Bill Gates or Klaus Schwab or one of those swell people that have your best interests at heart, right? This is the thing you can't question. And then the media, with their lack of intellectual curiosity, just sits there and goes, oh, it's baseless. It's just a baseless claim. I don't know where they're getting that from. You? It's crazy. Did you do any investigative work? No, but it's baseless. And what Nugent has effectively done here is he's called attention to both Rogan and Howard Stern. Of course, they pick up the headline, you know, Nugent calls Howard Stern Jackass. It's good clickbait. I mean, I'll admit it. I would use that. It's good clickbait. But he's doing more in defending Rogan here than going after Stern. Stern is an entertainer, and this is not his strong suit. He can do a decent interview here and there, right? And I'm starting to think I'd rather hear someone else do an interview, because he's going to go into the interview with a bias thinking, oh, the guy or the woman on the other side here, I hope they agree with me on this medical stuff, because if they don't, and I find out, I'm just going to tear them a new one right here, you know, or maybe he'll wait till they've left the building. I don't really know how he'd handle that, but I don't think you want to argue with Ted Nugent. He comes armed with information, with very persuasive vocabulary. I mean, the guy knows a whole bunch of words that most announcers, DJs, whatever, talk show hosts, podcasters, you're going to struggle to keep up with Uncle Ted. You may think you're going up against, you know, caveman, Neanderthal, hunter boy, but he'll slay you with words, and you'll sit there and you go, okay, he's way smarter than me. I'm just going to shut up and listen. And that's the best thing to do with Ted. When I did the interview with Ted Nugent, I was like, before they had the automatic pin resetters at the bowling alley, I considered myself the guy who would be behind there putting the pins back up so Ted could just start bowling again and knocking them all over. You know, I just set up the pins, and Nugent just throws, you know, spares and strikes. So in any event, is this really anything that you wouldn't expect from Ted Nugent? Of course not. This is vintage Ted, and more people, I think, need, here's my closing thought here. More people in the so-called mainstream, they call themselves non-political media, whatever they are. I mean, they all are. They need to come forward and say, you know what? This canceling, censoring, banning, calling stuff we disagree with disinformation, calling it, because now there's a crisis, because if you don't have that information, you may die, right? That's the bottom line with all of this, which, I mean, there are two sides to that, by the way. If you're not given all the information, you may also die. So it's called informed consent. But more of these people need to start speaking up and saying, okay, if we're going to have a free press and we're able to ask questions, any questions we want, you can't throw certain questions into boxes and say you can't ask that question because it's disinformation. Because it depends which authoritarian is in power. Because one authoritarian will say you can ask these questions, but you can't ask those questions, right? And then your favorite authoritarian gets into power and you're like, now we have good speech again. Not free speech, just good speech that I approve of. Good speech is not free speech. Speech that I like isn't free speech. The founding fathers meant this for political speech and the most egregious speech you can imagine, okay? Some of the things that are blatantly racist, sexist, all of those things are supposed to be protected by the First Amendment to the Constitution. We're seeing that disappear, I don't know, very quickly, as quick as real music disappeared in the 1990s and was replaced by guys who all sung like Cookie Monster, okay? So that's pretty much my video on this topic. Ted Nugent, again, just hitting it out of the park, a great American. Even if I didn't agree with Ted Nugent's politics, right? Even if I didn't agree with all of what he espouses, I would agree with the portion about free speech and about being able to communicate your ideas freely. Because if we don't have that, we don't have real journalism, we don't have informed consent, and we can't make good decisions for ourselves about our health, our freedom, and our finances. It's 100% true. All right, so I'm done. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, folks, to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Patreon, $1 a month. Check out my other channel. I have a link to that on the banner of this page. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.